If you have any questions, concerns at all about how to leverage your skill set in the online ecosystem, you're going to love this show today because I'm bringing back my old friend and he is going to answer your questions. And we're going to talk about what's going on right now in the current marketplace and how you can take advantage of it. Make sure you come on back because it's another episode of Nez Nation Live. Welcome. Welcome, one and all. How are you guys doing today? I hope you're doing really, really well. Welcome to the show, podcast listeners and replay viewers. Welcome. Please make sure that you share this out and please smash that big thumbs up, letting us know that you are here. It also helps us out with the algorithm. I'm really excited to introduce to you our guest today. Hey, Sweeney, good to see you. Great to see Sweeney Dunstan in the house. Please share this out. I'd really appreciate it. You guys know that this is a show that we bring on guests and we have a really, really good time. And we try to really bring some value to you guys and really provide some help in the areas of, growing, starting your online business, advancing your career, personal development. If you're new to who I am, I'm Professor Nez, your personal branding coach, executive career coach, online business strategist. I run an agency where we help individuals and businesses just like you grow smarter, earn more, and stress less. And so you may want to consider subscribing because we are bringing powerhouse guests, such as my guest today, and content pretty much weekly, helping you to really advance your message in the online space. And, I don't want to waste any more time. I want to get right to our awesome guest. And so please do me a favor and let's give our guest a big, warm Nez Nation welcome. He is one of the top online business consultants. He is a New York Times best-selling author, and he's also got probably one of the most unique, creative, and innovative talk shows. He's had some amazing guests on we're going to talk about recently, and he's just crushing it in the live streaming game. Please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mr. Chris Brogan, somebody I like to call my friend. Yo, Chris, how in the world are you, sir?
Professor Nez, how the heck are you? Good to see you.
Well, I'm doing a lot better now. I had a couple of guests on this week, and, I was really looking forward to this one. Not that I wasn't looking forward to the other ones, sure. But you're an old pal of mine, and I love picking your brain. You're one of the best minds that I've seen and known in this space, over the last 10, 15 years. And I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Do me a favor, Chris, if you don't mind, just for people who may not know who you are, do you mind telling us a little bit about your background, who you are, what you do, etc.? The spiel.
Sure. There's a lot of different ways to describe myself. And it was really funny. I'll tell you a weird twist on this. I've been having a little SEO work done. I feel like I got a facelift or something. I've been having a little work done. I've been having a little SEO work done for the first time ever on my blog, chrisbrogan.com, on my website. And the guy said a bunch of interesting things. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. What does Google think? Because SEO is search engine optimization. I thought, what does Google think about who I am? Who I am to me is a whole different thing than what Google thinks. And they said, he said, you're a brand identity expert. I said, I am? Like, I've never used that phrase ever in my life. And I thought, well, okay. I guess that's a way to talk about it. I just didn't know. And, search terms are search terms, right? Like when you go to the grocery store, you don't say, where's the oat milk aisle? You say, do you keep oat milk right next to the dairy, right? So This is dairy is the label according to SEO. So if you had asked me this question 3 days ago, I'd have different answers. The reason I'm saying all that. I am a brand identity expert, so I've been told by Google. And what that means to me, evidently, I help people how to use these random tools and this digital stuff and in face-to-face as well. How do you reach people? How do you connect? How do you create interesting content that might, build around it, a community that you have the opportunity to serve? And then what can you do with a marketplace around that? So in my world, content yields the opportunity for community and yields the ability to serve and sell, which is marketplace. That's it. Content, community, marketplace. That's what I do.
I love it. And this is something that I think, I don't want to go on an education rant here, but you know how I feel about this, Chris. Even though
Sure.
I teach very, very part-time now. I was kind of an entrepreneurial adjunct professor. I don't know if you know this about me, Chris. We've known each other. We've been pals for a long time.
Yeah.
But, I was teaching almost, 13, 14 classes a semester because, they don't pay professors anything. But, I was talking to my wife last night. I was like, they're teaching our kids, I'm sure, you know this, that everything's online now, obviously. And
Right.
my kids are actually downstairs right now on Google Classroom with their teachers. And the lesson plans, sometimes I'll walk by, get an extra cup of coffee or banana or donut, dare I say, even though I shouldn't. I'll overhear, they're on Zoom, they're on all these Zoom calls. And I'm just kind of like flummoxed. I'm like, wait, what? It just seems so interesting that like, they're teaching our kids, what is 5 times 5? Or, Joey goes into the peach yard and he has 18 peaches. Now, how many people get a piece of the pie? And these things that I don't know about you, Chris, but I never implemented them in my life, not once. And I was talking to my wife last night. You know what would be the best class of all time is if they actually they actually taught kids how to use YouTube. Why? Because if you think about how to use YouTube, you're talking about communication, storytelling, creative problem skills, knowing your audience, business, marketing, selling, because, creating videos online and actually having a channel, whatever platform. I mean, YouTube is obviously the number one video platform. I'm like, that would bear so much more fruit and that would be so much more productive than, Sleepy Joe went down and got on the train and he left 15 minutes earlier than Ronnie. Where are they headed and how early are they going to get there? Which I just get a headache even talking about. What do you think about like what were we being taught and why this is happening right now in our educational system? I'm going to ask you an education system question.
Yeah, there we go. Because
Hey,
I
Just
do that.
Samson, good to see you. Please share this out. But I mean, the point is that you're the guy who knows how to leverage expertise into this ecosystem. And people are wondering, how can I make money on this thing? But then they're not taught, because I get students all the time, Chris, and they're like, Nez, I just paid $100,000 for a piece of paper and nobody wants to hire me.
It's really hard to recommend current traditional school at any level, really, in a lot of ways, but higher learning for sure. One of the challenges I think that people have all the way around is that you feel like you're doing, quote, the thing. And so you feel like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So they're walking through modules and books that have existed forever. They're walking through plans and methodologies that have existed forever. They're using systems and structures that make sense because they're the canon, they're the codified thing, they're the piece that makes whatever sense it makes or doesn't make. And what happens in these moments is that everyone thinks they're doing the thing, the real education, the real entertainment, the real transfer of knowledge part of the work is not being done. And, it all needs a upgrade, and everybody in some way or another knows this, but zero teachers are thinking they're going to change the way they teach this year. They're thinking, I can't stand Zoom. I don't understand Google.
Exactly.
I don't want to be here. Like, this blows. And so there's going to be no innovation this year. The only innovation is going to come from students trying to help their teachers figure out what they want to be when they grow up. That's where it's going to come.
Funny enough that you say that. That's exactly like my daughter is teaching her teacher how to screen share. And, these kids today, now I sound like a curmudgeon, but, they're so amazingly more astute, especially with technology, than we ever were as kids. Right. I mean, we were born way before the internet, but I mean, it's so interesting to me that people are shocked. I guess my real point of going on that little mini rant, and I apologize everybody, but I'm very passionate about this, if you can't tell. But like, it's interesting to me that people are shocked that we have unemployment, or shocked that people don't have transferable skills, or shocked that they can't transition into different industries, or that automation is usurping their jobs when we're not giving them the tools. And so I want to ask you, Chris, what do you think? And I really would love you to really take the floor here. What are the tools that people need to make money online right now, you think, in your opinion?
So there's, I mean, that's such a big, wide space. So let me kind
I'm
of
going to ask the big wide space questions.
right. Well, I mean, it means that I could go 85 minutes on one thing and you'd be, I'm over here on this other thing. Okay, so here's some of it. So one of the things that has to happen, the let's look at those categories out of it. So making money, there's a lot of different things you can do. I mean, anybody can sell the thing they want to sell, right? So you could sell education online. You could sell a product, an actual service. You can make and sell things like soap. You know, we had Mecca Feta on my show, and she sells soap. And she also started selling masks because that's what people do. And what you learn is that you have to do something to kind of earn attention and make some connections and whatnot. And that's the content, right? You have to make content of some kind that gets people in. Now you can spend your money and your time just on some ads and get them back to one site. And I call that sort of fish flipping, because you're just basically throwing it from the boat to the guy, to the guy, to the truck, to the truck, to the ice, and then the ice to the person walking by in the marketplace, right? You can fish flip and sell something without having to make a show like Nez Nation. But if you want to earn people attention for more than once, and if you want to earn the opportunity to write, to sell, and serve over a long period of time, you've got to make something that people want to come back to, and you've got to really develop a sense of what people come to expect of you, which is what a brand is, right? A brand is basically our expectations around a product or a service. So, like that comment, charisma helps. Online is good, but you know, when people come to the concept of making money online, a lot of them come from the kind of, can I do something fast and easy and not have to think about it? And I'm not that guy. Like, I'm the wrong guest for that show. There's somebody out there that has like some cool system. There's somebody out there that has some, like, you know, methodology that they use that's like foolproof and everybody will buy. That's not me. You could sell anything online just as well as you can sell it in person. Food's a little trickier. But if you sell food that can be shipped, then it's not so bad. And all it takes, you know, helping the buyer become the hero, them understand what they need to do next, being able to make the transitions of money and product work fast and easily. And also, in general, is there you could do that really enhances that person's day, week, month, and year, that makes it kind of roll forward and makes them want to serve a little bit better and make their day or life better? Is there something you could add? Are you a plus in their life?
Yeah, it's about it. I love the way you said that, because I think most people, when they're creating their quote unquote brands online and putting themselves out there, there's so much, I see a repetitive I factor. It's all, I can do this, I can do that, I'm this, I'm that. When something I advise my clients to do, and I know you probably do the same thing, Chris, or I'd love to hear your comments on this, is what I say is never make it about yourself, make it about them, serve them. Like you said, make them the hero, because people have a vested interest in themselves first. I mean, that's just human nature, right? And so even you know, I do executive career coaching too, and I tell clients in the interview, you need to really complement your assets to what this organization wants. Basically, they have a headache and you need to be Excedrin, right? So you're solving their problem. And that's, I think that's really great advice, because I think people have this misperception, and I'd love your thoughts on this. Hey, Carrie's in the house on LinkedIn. Good to see you, Carrie. The biggest value in college was in networking. And right now, that's so gutted by COVID. All in all, it seems smarter to launch a business and learn that way. I tell you, I've listened to Chris Brogan's podcast. I've listened to Pat Flynn. I've listened to other podcasts that are out there. I've learned more, and I'm a business communications professor. I've learned more about the modern world of business and online marketing and online business just in the last 2 to 3 years of listening to podcasts than I ever did with 4 degrees. And this is why I'm so adamant about this, right? And again, I don't want this to be a denigration on the institution, although I denigrate it all the time. I'm a fan of education. I'm just not a fan of the system. But yeah, I mean, you know, that's such a good point, Chris. I like that. Is what is it that you have that you feel people would be interested in, at least engaging with, and seeing that, hey, you know, this guy, this gal, this company, this business can actually help me with X, right? Whatever that X is, they can help me with this. It's about that transformation. I think a lot of people think that you just kind of throw content on and all of a sudden I've got all these sales and look at me. I'm going to take pictures in front of yachts on Instagram and look at me. I'm great and fantastic. It just doesn't work that way. With any business, it takes time, right, Chris?
Always time. There's ways to get out of the gate faster. There's ways to, kind of get some early viable product stuff going on. There's a little restaurant that opened up in our town in the middle of COVID, by the way. He'd been working on it for a year before. And when he opened, he just opened with the first thing he could sell, which was he made one kind of burrito, a pulled pork burrito. He made 3 different versions: pulled pork with verde sauce, pulled pork with regular red salsa, or just pulled pork. And guess what? People wanted it. People were sick of cooking at home. They bought it. And that, put a little money in his bank, a little more money in his bank, allowed him to open up a couple more products. And so what I think that the big opportunity is that when you're looking to develop your business, you start with some kind of a product, you start with some kind of a service, because that's how you serve. But then you just start learning what people need. 100% of the things I sell come out of somebody saying to me, well, I saw this thing that you offered, but I really need kind of this. Do you think that's a product? And I'm like, it is now. Want some?
Totally.
Because the number one thing I'd want people to take away from this part is, don't wait until you have everything right. You will absolutely never launch, and you will not have things right, and it'll take forever, and you'll go nowhere. I take 100 shots. And I miss 98 of them. But if I hit 2, I'm already 2 ahead of you. I apologize for my video, by the way. I have no apps on. I'm absolutely connected up and everything like that, but
it looks great now.
My laptop's pooping the bed and needs a reboot or something.
Yeah.
But
it's always like that. This is the thing about live streaming. I say all the time is you're going to have to expect the unexpected. It's going to happen. Live is always like this. So no worries.
Come for the video, stay for the audio. It's good.
Yeah, exactly. This will be on the podcast. Podcast listeners listening to this right now, you're going to get a ton of value, as you always do. Chris is actually a 2-time guest here on Nez Nation, by the way, which that's an honor, by the way. You get 3, and I might have to make a jacket for you after 3, Chris.
I'll be ready. It'll go with my matching underpants.
Yeah, I love that. Don't overthink it. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, but running a business is kind of like, I've always said this, that it's same thing with life. It's adaptation times infinity, right? Like you're always adapting, you're always changing, you're always evolving, you're tinkering. Just even last night, I was tinkering with my website, even though I've had my website for years, right? I'm always, as a business owner, entrepreneur, I think the biggest thing that people need to understand, and when I say entrepreneur, you're not like, don't think that you have to be, Mark Cuban to start making money online. No, there's so many ways to do it in the small business, concept of what I'm talking about. You're not, there is no 9 to 5, right? There's no punch out, punch in. You're always, now that we have our devices and the connectivity is insanity, you're always on. And that's why I think one of the things important that what Chris talked about is that if you're going to do it, believe in it. If you're going to do it, really identify what it is that is your core kind of trait or skill that you can exploit for the service of others, because that is going to be something that's going to carry you through the roughness, and there's going to be plenty of roughness. I want to talk about the show, Chris. And by the way, guys, please share this out, because you guys know as well as I do, Chris is awesome. And we want to also answer your questions. We've got Chris here for the next 20 or 25 minutes or so. And so ask any question you want about, online business, marketing, sales, live streaming, content creation. Ask your questions, leave your comments down below, but we would love it if you would share this out. So Chris, you've obviously been a podcaster. You've been a content creator for a long time. The Backpack Show. Tell people a little bit about the Backpack Show. And then I need to ask about Sir Mix-a-Lot, because honestly, dude, when I saw that you had Sir Mix-a-Lot on, I started getting flashbacks of high school, and it wasn't pretty.
So the Backpack Show came about. Let me see. So I started blogging in 98 when it was called journaling. I had my first YouTube channel doing nothing in 2005. I started my first podcast in 2005. It was called Fat Guy Gets Fit. So I've been hands into audio, video, text, all that kind of stuff, photos and all that for so long. And one of the things that I do all the time is I just experiment with, can I make a show that's of interest to people, that does some kind of business value to people, that can be entertaining and engaging. And I try to, come up with a new version of me and the way we interact. So I made a show called The Backpack Show, and immediately I wanted a co-host. And so I asked Carrie O'Shea Gorgon, can you please come and be the co-host on my show? And she was like, okay. And what we did the minute we launched is we decided we were going to have 2 guests an episode. We were going to make it about 40 minutes, as close to that as we can. We actually try to aim for 30 and we hit about 40. And what it is there's the guests it's business success and insights. So that's what we're talking about. We talk about, tell me a little something about your life or your business that's interesting. Tell me some insights from your life. So for instance, today's episode was a guy who is a guitar player, a hobby guitar player, who had gone through all 100 of Guitar World Magazine's top 100 guitar solos to play. And he played all 100. He's on the last one now, which is
that's awesome.
Stairway to Heaven. And then he'll have done all 100. So, you're going, a business show that talks to guitar players? Hell yeah. And the other person was like a video expert. She was like a straight down the middle kind of video business kind of person. So she was that. But Mix-a-Lot, people don't know. So the minute you hear Sir Mix-a-Lot, you think, yeah, baby got back and all that. We brought him on for one thing, which was that he made a mashup song of something from Netflix with Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdam. They have that movie on Netflix right now called Eurovision, and there's a song in it, which is like a fake Icelandic folk song called Ya Ya Ding Dong.
Yeah.
And Mix-a-Lot, being who he is, says, I'm going to mix that song into something with my raps. And he does it. And he, because he was looking for a project like everyone is in COVID. He said, I think I'll do this. I'll make a remix with that song. I'll do something fun. Everyone else is like, make another Baby's Got Back. He said, no, everyone knows that song. It's good. Nicki Minaj did Anaconda. We're good. We're covered. So I had him on to talk about that. But also the thing is, he had all kinds of money. He was driving around with, more than one Lamborghini in his garage and lost it all, went bankrupt briefly, and then made his way back. And the way he made his way back is he is one of the kings of music licensing and publishing. He owns a massive catalog of music that he owns the publishing licenses to. And so he's
a business savant. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Wow. And so, I didn't even know that.
So that's what we talked to him about. But what does everybody come for? They come to hear Baby Got Back stories and they leave going, wow, that was really cool. What does he get from it? He gets, he's used to people kind of making jokes or talking about the song. And next thing you know, he's got all of these stories going on about, what you could do to make your business better. So he feels vindicated by a whole group of people. That's what the show's about. The show is to serve a community of people, guests that they've not normally heard, and to love on those guests so hard that they leave saying, this is the best thing I ever did.
I love that. And that's the thing is what your kind of premise is for your show. And we kind of joked about this before we went live, is you want to really come up with something different and not do the same old kind of thing and just have the same old guests and have, every time I tune into the Backpack Show, I don't even know who these people are. And I know a lot of the people that we kind of, travel. These circles are pretty, right? They're pretty small. There's not like a huge variation sometimes, or for the most part. And I'm like, who are these guys? Or vegan what? Or who? She's a brownie what? Or huh? Sir Mix-a-Lot what? It's like, it's so, you're keeping your audience on your toes. And I want to ask you more questions about the show. Do you mind taking this question really fast, Chris, from Thank S on YouTube? Thank S says, I want to get to your question. Let me know you're still here, Thank S. I hope you are. What's the best way? This is a pretty big question, but I think Chris will have a great answer, as he always does. What's the best way to get lead generation during this COVID-infested environment? Interesting verb. I like that.
It's so it depends what you sell, right? So if you sell new cars, it's a little hard to get it the way you used to get it. If you sell food, you've got to kind of do it in person. And it's also this whole scenario where if you get yourself out and about to, the various kinds of things that you want to sell, you can reach in different places. So for instance, I am a big fan of email marketing. I think email marketing is the best sales channel in the world. So if you are not collecting new email, if you're not collecting a way to reach people, if you're not in any way doing anything to kind of, earn the opportunity to connect with people when they're not on screen, that becomes an important deal. And so
I co-sign that, by the way. I co-sign that. People think
Cool.
email marketing is dead, and I want to choke them when they say that.
Every account that you sign up for on this planet asks you for your email address and a password. So there's almost nobody that doesn't have some kind of email platform still going, even if it's at AOL.com or something. So that's my first answer. Thank you. Is I would say that, develop and maintain a really robust email marketing platform that you can connect with people regularly. And by regularly, I can mean weekly, if not sometime sooner, and talk to them there. And then the other, so I had laid it out at the very beginning when Nez said, tell me who you are. Content yields the opportunity to grow a community, which then you can build a marketplace around. So good content is a great way for lead generation. Shows like this. Why would Sir Mix-a-Lot say yes to a show like this? But more so, what guest is going to say no to a show that brings on Sir Mix-a-Lot? What guest is going to say no to a show that has a champion beatboxer and next week a dominatrix, right? We've got the kinds of people that you say, wow, that's an interesting and eclectic group. I'm an interesting and eclectic business owner. I want to be there. So you work to develop a community that you have the opportunity to serve, and then everything else falls into place. That's the best way for lead generation. If you mean guts and bolts and numbers and dollars, I don't know, buy some Facebook ads. I don't think there's a one size fits everything answer to that. And I think the results you get when someone tells you an answer without knowing your business would be a little suspect.
Absolutely. And also, isn't it true, Chris, that, email, when you really build a substantial community through email, that's your audience that you own. I mean, not to say I'm not one of these kind of, tragedians, but YouTube could just say tomorrow, hey, Nez, you're done. We don't want you anymore. LinkedIn could say, which would never happen. Oops, knock on wood. But they could say tomorrow, hey, we're shutting down. We've been bought by TikTok, or I don't know, Microsoft is done with us. It could happen, whereas an email list, you own that. That's your audience. And so you can always have that reach and that's a whole nother show too. Maybe I'll bring Chris on, because I think email marketing, I could not agree more. And again, these are very general tips. Obviously, you'd want to get the real in the weeds with what your business is and what you're offering, but definitely having a email channel would be essential. And just quick, shamelessly, and I'm full disclosure, I have a link in the description if you want to know what I use for my email platform, where you get a free trial. So if you want to go check that out, Thank S, was it? Yeah, Thank S. If you want to go check that out, he says, I don't know if it's a he or she, I'm sorry. She says, wow, thanks. So you gave her great advice, Chris.
I was expecting it to say _S exclamation point, but okay.
Yeah. So getting back to the backpack show, yes, eclectic business owners, bringing on Sir Mix-a-Lot, a dominatrix next week. You guys got to stay tuned for that. And Carrie so wisely put the link to the show in the comments, and please feel free to, go check them out. And Chris, you're live on LinkedIn now, aren't you?
I am, because this guy made this awesome video post that said, here's how you get invited to LinkedIn Live. And you said in your video, this guy said in his video, he said, look, you've maybe applied before, but you got rejected like a lot of people did. And I'm going to explain how do you get into this thing. And I was like, all right, well, I'll follow this advice. It better work. And it totally works.
It better work. I like how you put that in there. It better work, Nez.
Or I'm going to make a video like why Nez is wrong.
Yeah.
And I'll make one of those.
In all seriousness, the reason I mentioned that was, thank you so much, Chris, was that you can follow Chris on LinkedIn, where he's going live now on LinkedIn. And so, a lot of the viewers, and you're on, how many platforms is the Backpack Show on, Chris?
We have Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So that's all we are.
That's awesome. That's pretty much the same as this show too. That's awesome. Fantastic. And so you have, this is something cool, because this Backpack Show, and guys, I think this is where a lot of value is going to come in, because I've advocated for clients. Listen to what Chris said. Content yields that ability to create that community whereby you can build a marketplace, right? You build that no trust factor, right? That funnel. You create that funnel of, and it's mutually beneficial. It has to be mutually beneficial, right? I've been telling clients, Chris, that I think live streaming, because people are like, content, I don't have production, I don't have this, I don't have ideas, I can't go do a 20-minute video on YouTube. And I say, well, why not do like some live streaming where you can just put yourself out there, invite people on. It's so intimate, it's real time. You could just do a live Q&A. Like I have a weekly live Q&A show every every Sunday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. but like your show is fairly recent, and obviously you have a great following community, but you're getting sponsors for every show, correct, Chris?
Yes.
Do you mind telling us? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
How that worked? No, I just got to correct one thing. So Samson, sorry, the beatboxer was not Mix-a-Lot. Butterscotch is a 5-time world champion, female beatboxing champion, 2005 through 2010. So we had Butterscotch on as well. She did a little demonstration for us as well. So that was fun.
Oh, thank you for that definition, Carrie. Carrie, are you fact checking me right now? Carrie's like, this is what a tradition means.
I had never heard the word, so I was just yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, Bust is good. I'd say Twista would be another argument for that, but he's just the fastest. I don't know if he's the best. And so on. So I'm sorry. How did we get sponsors and what happened there?
Yeah, I think this is a great question because correct me if I'm wrong, and let me maybe preface this if I may, Chris.
Yeah.
Do you think that you have to have? I mean, sponsors are very viable, and it's a great way to get some money online, especially for your show, especially for your content, right? Do you feel that just to preface this, do you feel that the only way to reach out to sponsors is you have to have 1 million followers or 1,000, what have you? Is it like that, or what's your thoughts?
So these shows, my show is pretty new. And even with 300 and whatever I have now, I don't even remember, the bots keep getting stripped out of Twitter. So let's say 350,000, 340,000 followers. That's, pretty big, right? That amount of followers on Twitter did not show up in live, for my email list of like 16,000 or so, for my however many followers on all my various platforms. Who shows up live? Like 25, 30 people. Except once when we had Scotland's most beloved comedian, it turns out, Janie Godley, who had this insane Facebook following, and several hundred live people showed up. She was way bigger number than Mix-a-Lot, way bigger number than anybody I've ever had on the show.
Awesome.
So when I got the sponsorship, I'll tell you the 3 things I did. Number 1, the first thing I did was from episode 1, I joked about having sponsors. And so we're sponsored by Johnsonville Brats. Why? Because I just ate some brats and they were delicious, and I had to hold up stuff. So Johnsonville sent me, and I don't have any of the parts of it here anymore, but they sent me like this box, and it came with like 4 T-shirts and like 3 coupons. And what it is basically is the typical shitty YouTuber, influencer, marketer person thing. Sorry, you might have to edit that. YouTuber, marketer, influencer.
No, I'm kidding. We have youngsters watch this show. No, I'm kidding.
know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut. But they gave you the thing that they give people when they're like, I like your thing because I want free stuff. And that's not true. Didn't happen. Like I was saying to them, I want you to really sponsor. So I still have an ongoing conversation going with their head of PR for that. Now, that said, what I did was I kept making it clear that the show is quite sponsorable. Here's how you reach me. Every write-up of the show says, here's how you can sponsor me. And so the first sponsor was StreamYard, who makes this software. And I thought, well, that's not that hard to sponsor. And they were like, we just want to go 6 months with you. And I said, yeah, cool, let's do it. And then we didn't know, neither of us really could put a number on it. And I said, well, here's what I'm going to do. Now that we kind of roughly know 6 months, here's your price. And it's not much, it's $500. But $500 a month for 6 months. I said, at 6 months, my numbers are going to be better, which means your number is going to be bigger. So we'll have another conversation in 6 months. I'll charge you more. But right now you get it for this because you're started. And they said, yeah, sure. And then they went. Now, is there $500 worth of value in them sponsoring my show? I've already had a few dozen signups. Those are all revenue generated signups. And that would have been enough for them to say, yeah, that seems worth it. The other person, she runs a FSB Associates, which is the premier book publicity agency that we've ever run into before. She had a website that basically builds websites for authors. And so that was my next sponsor. And she said, can we just sponsor for 2 months? And I think 10 or 11 days in, she said, never mind, can we also sponsor for 6 months? And so she came back and re-signed. And we have 2 more deals on the table right now. They just haven't been finished up yet. And again, these are not big numbers I'm showing them. I do not have big numbers. One thing I advertise is, if you think about this, you can use this content anywhere. You can go steal it off of YouTube. What am I going to do? Argue? You gave me a bag of money. You can do whatever you want with it. So the people, they can actually kind of cut and chop and make it into whatever they want with it. Now, what also it opens up for, and I just got this, one of our sponsors sent me a message privately and said, I want to do more work with you, more revenue work with you. And so I thought, this is great. So you don't have to have anything. I'll tell you an old Gary Vee story. I watched this way back in the day, still when Gary Vee was kind of like our guy, not the world's guy. And someone said, dear Gary, I don't have any, I don't have a following like yours. I think it's baloney that you're telling people to get sponsors, whatever. Gary's in a hotel room. Gary grabs a phone book. You remember when there were phone books? He grabs a phone book and he calls a beer store where he's staying. And he says, hey, you got blah, blah, you do beer, blah, blah. He goes, do you ever sponsor brands? And they're like, yeah. He goes, cool. I want to talk about sponsorship. Who do I talk to? Okay, well, you're going to talk to this guy, right? And next thing you know, Gary has pretty much a sponsorship deal set up, not for Gary Vaynerchuk. He just made up that he was doing something. Those guys didn't even know how big the show was or wasn't. It was that Gary cared to dial, and Gary had the energy to just call and actually make the ask. Now, you got to know some things to ask for sponsorship. You've got to be able to talk about your numbers, however paltry they are. But then you also have to explain what the other benefits are to them. Sponsorship means you're going to do something for that entity. The one thing that our current two, locked in paid sponsors get endlessly is massive publicity all the time from us on every platform that they're not even paying for. That wasn't even part of the deal, just so that they end up going, oh my gosh, these guys love us. And we go, yes, we do. And that's how we got the money. Now, will this show pay the bills? Not now. Ask me that question next summer, on my yacht.
$500 a month. And I know you got multiple sponsors. I mean, that's a great, some people would die for $500 a month, especially right now.
Well, wait till you get it to $2,000 a month. And next thing you know, you get 5 sponsors. You're at $10K for a stupid 1 hour of your day. $10K.
Amazing. So it's amazing.
It's a little more than an hour, but an hour of airtime.
I love it. I mean, this is the best stuff right here. And guys, if I'm understanding you correctly, Chris, the big takeaway is that you don't need 1 million subscribers. You don't need tons of, you don't need a community, a huge following. You need to present and demonstrate what are these companies and entities going to gain from partnering with you. It's the same thing with interviewing. It's the same thing with anything, selling your products. What is in it for them? What are they going to get out of this? Why should I even spend time listening to you? And I love how you said energy, because, I say this sometimes, Chris, and I'd love your comments on this. I say, people don't hire your credentials. They hire your energy.
100%.
If you don't believe in what you're doing, if you're not into it, they can smell that cooking. Don't underestimate your audience, y'all. They can smell the BS. Don't fake it till you make it. Just really believe in what you're doing and show them that. And show, don't tell. It's writing 101. Show, don't tell. Neil is in the house. Great to see you, Neil, my mod, one of my main mods. Chris Jones in the house. Listen to what Carrie says here, Chris. Hey, by the way, Chris, thank you, because that's really, really great stuff, because I think most of our audience and most of the Nez Nation community, they're dying to do what we're doing. They're dying to say, look, you remember, Chris, when I first got, years ago, when I first got a PayPal notice, and it was like Christmas. And I think it was something really, ridiculous. It was like $50 or something. But I was like, oh my God. I showed my wife, this was years ago when I first started my online business. Now I've got several and multiple streams of revenue, not bragging, hoping to inspire you guys. But, I remember showing that to my wife, and I was like, holy mackerel, that's pretty cool. And I was like, oh my God, this is the beginning. Like how exciting it was just to get somebody paid me online for something that I had like an ebook or so. I don't even know what it was. I can't remember at the time. Carrie says, I like what Carrie says here. So thank you for that, Chris. Carrie says, you'll get sponsors, but you put the work in to grow the community by bringing in 2 guests a show 5 days a week. Show up, show up, show up. Now, let me ask you something, Chris. 5 days a week, that's a lot. Is there a reason? Is there a strategy behind that kind of? Because a lot of our audience are content creators. They want to get into live streaming. Did you do that on purpose, or was that just like, hey, we want to go 5 days a week, or what's your?
Oh, everything's on purpose. Samson had made a comment about faking it before you make it. No, I never fake it. I start professionally, and I start from day one as I'm going to do this the way a pro would do it, even if I don't fully know what a pro would do, because I'm not a pro at anything. I'm an amateur at everything. I'm a professional amateur. What I do, though, one of the things I do is that when we decided weekdays, one of the most important parts of making this show at all was we decided we wanted to be something that people could watch during the coronavirus, during the quarantine. There's so many people locked away. And there's right now, audio podcasts are going through this weird kind of stay or drop phase. The numbers on everybody's podcasts are either steady or dropped. And it's because there's no commutes for many people anymore. There's a lot of people who are working from home, and it's a little harder to stick to the audio. Now, yes, there's a lot of other, people who say, well, I don't know, I think it's doing fine. The numbers say no. So I said, I want to do video. I'm going to do more video. And I think that it's really important. The talk about media kits is important because, again, if you explain what the show is, what it's got in it, what people see in it, they can get from it. The other idea of having the 5 guests is, think about it. If you can only book 1 guest a week, you only have 1 opportunity to earn everybody's attention and care. If I have 5 guests, this might stun somebody, but not everybody wants to watch Sir Mix-a-Lot. So there's always something different for all the different people who show up. And so what we also try to do, we use a term all the time called alchemy, where one of our guests is about one thing, one of our guests about something not at all related. And we try to glue it together and make it so that people get from the end of this feeling of like, oh, I get why we're doing this. And that's the other thing we are doing right now.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. I think also it's important to, you hear this. I'd love your thoughts on this, Chris. And thank you so much. This is such good stuff. Aren't you guys loving this? Give me a huge thumbs up down below and give me a hashtag yes. This is just great stuff, Chris. I usually tell clients and just really my audience too, because you hear this and I want your thoughts on this. I know consistency is pretty big and you need to show up like Carrie says. But then there's this idea of, doing 50,000 things a week or creating hundreds and thousands of content, a day or a month or whatever. Give me your thoughts on that. Because what is your thoughts on this idea of, and I don't even want to say the H word, hustle. I hate that word now, but
I never was a hustler. So I can't really tell you much about what you're supposed to do in those cases. I don't do most of the things other people do. I don't run around like a chicken with his head cut off. I don't create this, that, and that for the other shows. It is arm twisting for me to make a little 1-minute video clips out of my hour shows. I need to. That's one I really want to get to because I think having clips is vital. So Carrie was nice enough to help me port over all of the old episodes because she'd been saving them into a folder so I can shop them at leisure. I haven't touched one yet because I don't hustle. I just work. And, cornerstone content on your website. You don't need to blog every day. I used to say that, but cornerstone content is Google looks for the best article now, not the most articles. Google looks for, are you steadily adding really valuable stuff? And that's what they're looking for. So I don't do anything there. All the other social platforms in the world, I just show up and chitty chat on those places a little bit. I'm a lot less on Facebook because of your damn fault. I'm a little bit more on LinkedIn. And
it's all for the better. Trust me.
Twitter's my favorite platform. So I'm there whether or not I should be. And then with making the show weekdays, it's just the sense that there's a body of work. There's a catalog of work that now people can come and look at and say, oh, this is kind of fun. I like the insights. I have friends that I play video games with that come back and say, I just watched your show from like 35 days ago or something. And I'll be like, why? And they're like, oh, because you had that wrestler guy on and I love wrestlers. And I was like, okay. And I think that all of the hustly stuff, what hustle really should be in service of? So many people are told to go out and do all these various things. You know what you need to do? You need to sell. That's what you need to do. 100% sell. So how I sell? I make a show that people love showing up to, and then you can come and grab it. That's it. That's all I have to do right now. Now that show doesn't pay the bills yet, but the show gets people saying to me with money in their hands, hey, I want to make a show. How do you make a show like your show? Or, hey, I want to sell stuff. Is there a way you could use your show to make a sales product? Yes, absolutely. And so once you really lock into the thing that you really want to produce that people really want, has to be both. You have to really want to do it. Someone has to really want it. Work that. Stop working on that. That's such it's a ridiculous thing to ever tell somebody they got to go do 85 things. Everyone keeps telling me how amazing Instagram is for their business. Instagram is a fun site to be on. I love pushing that little heart button on people's pictures. I don't make anything off of it. And the reason I don't is because I don't sell anything that's easy enough to gram. Instagram has shopping buttons all over it now. It is going to be a shopping platform any day now. And where's everyone going to go who doesn't want to buy stuff all day? Nowhere. Say goodbye to your hustle, children. I don't hustle.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. No, I love it. Thank you. And yeah, it's interesting how, this whole idea of, I'm living proof of this, Chris. Like I've used this example before, and I want to say it one more time. I got a client who bought a high ticket item of mine, a coaching package, who never once engaged on a video, never once hit the like button, never once commented. But when he signed up, because I always ask, and this is important too, guys, make sure you're stockpiling your testimonials, reviews. I go to my wife for all of this stuff. She's a little bit younger than me, and she's, she knows the online world really well because she's an actual consumer. One of the things I asked her a long time ago is, what makes you buy? And she said, it's all about the reviews. I don't care how fancy your website is. I don't care how fancy this is. If you've got amazing reviews, I'm going to buy. And so stockpile those reviews and testimonials and find out how people are finding you. And this guy said, hey, Nez, I don't really like to comment, or I don't really like to like things, but your video, I got a taste of who you are. I got a taste of your energy, and I liked what I saw. I mean, this guy bought a really expensive high ticket item. I was super pumped. I was like, thank you. This is awesome. And I was even more super pumped because I am living proof that this stuff works. Chris is living proof that this stuff works. And you don't have to throw out 1,000 pieces of content on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn every single day. You don't have to do that because you're going to drive yourself crazy. Like Chris said, with your head cut off running around, but putting yourself out there works. It really, really does. I love that. I'm curious, Chris, how do you, and I don't want to take up too much more of your time here, guys, if you have any questions, any kind of, we're going to be on for maybe another 5-8 minutes or so. If you have any questions for our awesome guests, leave them in the comments down below. And please smash that smash button. We call it the smash button, AKA the thumbs up button. But I'm curious, Chris, do you have any tips on, because you have such amazing guests, how do you go about, is there a strategy? You're like, this is how I ask people to be on the show?
No, I'll tell you how we do it, but it's probably dumb.
I could have said that.
I'll tell you how we do it, but we buy from people we like, right? We buy from people we like is the number one thing. The other thing I like to tell people all the time is that we are so sick of fitting in. We just want to go where we belong, right? That's all we want. And I think that the important thing to think about with everything that you make is make sure people know who you are. There's people who want my energy who don't like other people's energy. There are people who see me and they're like, you are the worst. Like Chris Brogan, I couldn't.
Never. That's impossible. No. That's like not liking Seinfeld.
No, well, see what happens is that people, the way I am, is it's clear I'm easygoing. It's clear I'm sweet and nice. I was on, this is a name drop if ever. Tony Robbins has a series called The Internet Money Masters. And everybody on that series is like Frank Kern, Dan Kennedy, and Chris Brogan. And like they could have made
voice too.
Like, yeah, if they set the box set out and like each one got like a DVD sleeve, it would be like black and red, gold and black and red, pink and rainbows. That's me, right? And I've gotten so much long tail business from being in that video, which I just said yes because Tony Robbins asked, why would you say no to him? Because people are like, you just seem so nice. I was like, good, I'll take it. So now, how do I get guests? A lot of the times Carrie will say, hey, I found this really cool person. I really want to interview them. I don't think they'll necessarily like pick up the phone for me. Why don't you message them? Okay. At such and such, I really love this show and Carrie and I want to interview you. And they say, okay. Almost nobody says no, unless it's like scheduling stuff. I mean, I really want Chef Matty Matheson up in Canada. I want Matty Matheson bad, but he's got a brand new book launching like this week. Now I could have helped him with the launch. He didn't see it that way. And then that's the thing. Joe's right, by the way. I am me. It turns out I checked at the liquor store and my ID has my name on it. But when we ask people, a lot of times it's their first time having been on an interview show. A lot of times it's also, they're just so stunned that somebody asked them that they say yes. The other thing we ask is here's what I don't do. Let me start here. Sometimes when I'm invited to be on someone's show, I get this 8,000 word missive. Dear
Chris, my God, I hate that. I say no immediately.
Here's why I'm very important. Here's all the other very important people who have been on my show. Here's how you should trust my social proof. I'm whatever. I don't do any of that. All I like to do is I just say, hey, we do this show. It's live. It's on video. We want you to come on. What do you think? You want to jump on it? And they say yes or they say no. And if they say anything like weird in between yes and no, I usually make it a no myself. I don't like tricky people. The only thing that should be tricky is rocking a rhyme.
Exactly. That's it. Those of you who are those of you who are millennials, you might not get that, but that is a reference to Run DMC. Hey, Chris, we have a question here, and here's another thing, if I may add, kind of like what I do with Chris, and actually, when I first invited Chris long ago, I can't remember how long ago it was. We hadn't known each other that long. What was that?
It was 140 years ago.
104 years ago. Yes. I thought it was 106. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
But I, and I tell people all the time, don't make it frictionless for them. Don't make them work. I had a guy, Chris, I'm not even kidding. I want to get to your question, Just Samson. I had a guy, and welcome Roger Wakefield, who's passed 150,000 subscribers on his awesome plumbing YouTube channel. You rock, Roger.
Holy. Wow.
Oh, Roger is crushing it on YouTube, and he's got amazing, business kind of elements with his channel, doing great. Good stuff, Roger. Hey, Chris, I had a guy literally the other day. I want you to write me a survey. I want you to write 4 paragraphs as to what you're going to bring to the show. I want you to answer this 15-point questionnaire, and then I want you to take a quiz. I'm like, wait a minute. You asked me to be on your show. Why am I writing an essay? Why am I doing homework?
Yep. Carrie just had that yesterday. Carrie had a person who wanted to interview her that basically wanted Carrie to write the interview. And so I don't know if she's going to say yes. I wouldn't say yes. I would say that, I got a real argument with a really important person that about that, because that's what their intake process is for their show. And they messaged me like, hey, you should do the show. I'm like, yeah, cool. When do you want to do it? I'm just going to put it on my calendar. What's the link? I'm ready. And then they sent me this massive form. And I was like, oh, this is some grown-up stuff. I don't want to do grown-up stuff.
And
I said, no.
Yeah.
So it's over.
So I have a video on my channel where I talk about that, shockingly, where I say these are the things you don't want to do when you're inviting guests, and one of them is don't make them fill out all this hubbubaloo. Do your research. Right. I know a lot about Chris. Before I ask him to come on my show, I know, wow, he writes books, he does online business consulting, he does live streaming, he's a content creator, he knows email marketing, I know more, so he doesn't have to fill out anything. I want him to come on here because I admire him, I respect him, I know he has great wisdom, and he can share value to my audience. Period. Do you want to ask? Can we get to this question real fast?
Yeah, let's do it,
Chris, if you don't mind. Just Samson says, for both of us, actually, and I'm going to give you the lead. What is your number one email lead magnet? That's kind of a tough one, but go ahead, Chris.
Me. I am the number one email lead magnet, and I'll explain that out. Samson, and a lot of people watching this live or otherwise, or listening later, you have a folder on your computer full of other people's lead magnets that you have never done anything with. You have an entire folder of stuff that one day, if the internet shuts off forever, you will start reading some of those free ebooks that you downloaded that you thought were going to be really important to you, but you never did anything with. Lead magnets, see it, Carrie. Lead magnets are something that people have really talked about since time immemorial. I use another slightly different methodology called content upgrade. Hey, we're doing this thing, we're going through this, whatever. I know you're sitting here watching this, and I hope you find it interesting. If you want the checklist that we were talking about, just click on this link here. I'm going to give you the checklist, and oh, by the way, I'm signing you up to my newsletter, and you better love it, and whatever. But that's one thing, content upgrades. That's the number one way I do it, Samson. The real way I do it is me. When you get done this video, or audio or whatever, when you get done consuming the content that Nez has put all over the universe, and you're like, I kind of like that guy, then you're going to find me. And the first thing you do to find me, you're going to go, oh, he's got a newsletter. I'll check out his newsletter. And you're going to sub to it. And you're going to realize you can hit reply on my newsletter and talk to me directly like a regular, normal human. And you're going to go, that's nuts. Why would this guy with hundreds of thousands of people allow you to just hit reply and talk to him direct? Because that's the whole reason I have an email address. And so my best way to earn email subs and keep them forever and a day is make you love me one at a time. And then you'll say, you've got to check out Chris Brogan. His newsletter is really awesome. I have the numbers around 106. 106 people a week right now sign someone else up to my newsletter because I track that. And 106 people take someone else's email address and stick it into my box. And then that person has to be like, what? I didn't sign up to this. And they have to confirm because we're a double confirm kind of place. And that to me, that's a win. Because then I have to tell this total stranger, well, I don't know which of your friends did this, but they thought you would like what I have to say. The unsubscribe button's right at the bottom, and I'd love for you to push it. But stick around a week if you want and see if you think I'm worth your inbox.
Is there a specific type of content, Chris, that you found has worked really well to get more subs in your email list?
Back when people could be professional speakers and I'd be on a stage, I could say, you want to get the slides? They're here. And that content works great.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times it's sort of checklisty stuff. It's always that kind of like, we talked about this, but I want to give you these extra resources. It's all the same, stuff that you heard about from 1994.
Like free stuff. I was going to say that, Chris, is to answer like just like more like on the, and everything Chris just said, 1,000,000,000% true. For me, it's on like a tactical level, I guess. It is like those checklists, like the top 10. Here's the things you need to do before you go live. Here's your top 10 checklist or something like that. Or, if you want to start a YouTube channel, do these 10 things first or what have you, or something like that. If you want to earn money online, here's 5 ways you could do that. And earn money in the next, 24 hours, right? Like, and so I'll share websites or I'll share, places like Upwork.com or LinkedIn Profinder or what have you. And so, but also, and I'd love Chris's thoughts on this. Experiment, right? I mean, experiment, and again, I think the overarching, truth here is that making it all about them and making it, so that they cannot deny for themselves in their own mind that this is something I will gain something from. This is something that it is worth investing my time and energy in, because it's gonna, I know that the story brand concept, Chris, Donald Miller, great book, by the way. And I have a link to that in the description. It's you're the guide, right? And the customer is the hero. The customer is Luke Skywalker. You are
Yoda.
And so, and so it's where's the transformation going to take place? What are they going to get out of this? And again, it's really for everything in life. If you think about it, right? You want to make money, you want to develop real relationships. You have to be a giving person. It can't just be about you. Selfishness doesn't really breed well, so.
You brought up something that I want to throw a highlighter on. I agree with you so much. And when you mentioned Donald Miller, so we're friends. I met him because of his book, 1,000,000 Miles in 1,000 Years. It is an amazing book. If you took nothing from the interview and just ran and got 1,000,000 Miles in 1,000 Years by Donald Miller, it's an incredible book about living, just like how to live. But when he decided to do a story brand, he asked me to come down to, I think, his second ever story brand in Nashville. And so I was there with him, and I was slightly a guest, but mostly an audience member, just kind of chilling with everybody and being part of it. And when you get down there, there's that story brand kind of graphic that he has, that sort of map that you use. There's a pad of those on the table. And I had the weirdest feeling, like, this shouldn't be here. Like, I feel like this is your very important intellectual property. And he goes, no, the process is the property. This is the memory of the property. And I said, wow, that is intense. But it goes along with something you and I think, agree on. Give your best stuff away for free. Put your big, super secret idea right in front of everyone. Because I'll tell you, in however many years I've been doing this, now 2 decades, I give all my best ideas. These ideas I charge $20,000 to $25,000 to $50,000 for. I put them right in front of people for free every day. Do you know who pays me the $20,000 to $50,000? People who've already read the idea and go, I need him to come into this office and tell all these people that same thing. And perfect. I make a massive amount of money sometimes. Not lately. I've been broke as a joke lately. But you make money selling your best idea that you've already given away.
Love it. Exactly. Yep. I can't agree more. I couldn't agree more, Chris.
All right, then don't Don't agree more then.
I'll stop agreeing right now. I've plateaued on agreeing.
Oh.
Well, hey man, I just want you to know that, you, Chris Brogan, are a true gentleman and scholar. And you're always welcome back here on Nez Nation. I just want to thank you so much for your time. We went over the hour, and I really appreciate it. And I want to thank you guys, Nez Nation, for being here. Awesome community here. I mean, this is the cool thing about when you come to a Nez Nation live stream. You're not just getting me. You're not just getting our amazing guests. Look at the people in the chat. Look at these amazing professionals, content creators, live streamers, podcasters. I mean, business owners. It's an amazing community, bringing more humanness to this digitalness. I love it. And so, Chris, I want to give you the floor. I want you to take us home. And so tell people, where they can find you and how they can reach out to you if they're interested in that.
Oh, anywhere. If you just type in Chris Brogan, you'll find me. I'm somewhere. I want to say this. The biggest difference between an audience and a community is which way you place the chairs. So getting a chance to talk to Samson and Sweeney and Thankus and Roger Wakefield. By the way, Roger, I was elbows deep in my kitchen sink yesterday because it's clogged, and I had to try to recreate a YouTube video on how to unclog it myself. And I didn't follow the instructions. And now I'm glad I know you, because I will subscribe to your video. But this is what you get, right? Like, if you want to check things out, just look for my name, Chris Brogan. I'm pretty lucky that YouTube thinks I'm important. I don't think I'm important. I think I'm, a scholar. So I think you can find me. So don't even worry about that. Professor Nez, it means so much that you brought me in again. Thanks for having me on your very vaunted second guest slot, second time on the show. It's
the jacket is on its way.
Yeah, like SNL, you get the 5 Guy Club, they give you the jacket, right?
Yeah. I actually have one guest, Dale Roberts, if you're out there, who's been on the show 5 times. And he is going to, I have to create a Nez Nation jacket, which he'll probably throw in the garage, but it's the act of doing that counts.
Yes. Perfect.
Well, hey, Chris, you've been phenomenal. And again, thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful week. And the Backpack Show tomorrow, what do we have tomorrow? Do you want to talk about that really quickly before you go? Is it the Dominatrix tomorrow?
It's a show on weekdays. So when you and I are recording this is the end of the week. So tomorrow I'm going to be in my bed during the Backpack Show. So if you're welcome, come on over. But you got to bring like crunchy Cheetos if you're going to get in my bed. Monday, we have a burlesque dancer who it turns out is a male burlesque dancer who goes by the Luminous Pariah. And we have Debbie Cavalier.
Set your timers, folks.
Yes. And we have Debbie Cavalier and Michael King, who run the Berklee School of Music online. So Berklee School of Music in Boston is a massive place it's a conservatory. A lot of musical people come out of there. But these are the people who run the online. Debbie has a Grammy and is super, super famous and popular for a whole bunch of children's music that you would not know. But also, this is the song that never ends. She had a hand in making that. She produced that. And then Michael has produced a lot of the bands that you've heard of, like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, the Presidents of the United States, and all kinds of people.
That's awesome.
And so Monday is a mix of musical genius, the first ever male burlesque dancer I'll ever met, first burlesque dancer I've ever met. So that's who's on the show.
Guys, you need to go check out the Backpack Show, and I'll leave links in the description down below. I know Carrie left some comments in the chat. Chris Brogan, I won't take up any more of your time. Thank you. Thank you so much. Please, please, please let me know if there's anything that I can do for you, that the Nez Nation family can do for you. You rock. Keep being you, and I look forward to seeing you very, very soon. Okay, brother?
Thanks, Professor. Catch you soon.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We'll talk soon. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. I want to say thank you to you guys for being on the show. Isn't Chris awesome? I really, really love that dude. He is just a terrific, terrific guy. Never mind the fact that he's got this wealth of knowledge when it comes to business, when it comes to, online business, and marketing and sales and the whole kind of gamut. He's just a sweet dude. Inside out. I want to just let you know a couple of things before we go. I published a brand new video on this channel giving you a step-by-step tutorial on how to use LinkedIn stories. You want to go maybe check that out. Please make sure before you leave, you smash the thumbs up button. Make sure you click subscribe because we're bringing the best guests. We're bringing you bone marrow content, helping you earn more, grow faster, stress less, how to advance your career and grow and start your online business and get yourself out of your own way. I love, love, love you guys. Thank you so much, Samson. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Sweeney. Thank you, everybody who is here. I know I'm missing a few people. Thank S. Thank S. Thank you, all of you guys. And make sure you tune in this Sunday, because we go live every single Sunday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. It's office hours, a live Q&A where you can ask me anything. I love you guys. Thank you again, and I'll see you on Sunday.